outside today. Hope you can get out, enjoy the day. Parents, this will be something that you've probably thought about at one point or another. Did you know that the average age today for a teen to use alcohol is 13 years old? 13 years old, they're still babies. So what should a parent do in that time? With us this morning, Marc Treitler, he's the co-author of My Dad is an Alcoholic, What About Me? With 5 basic steps to keep your child substance free. Marc, thank you for being here.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
I have 3 little kids.
I read.
Right,
yeah.
and I look at them sometimes and I get so worried about the future and what they're gonna be exposed. 13 years old?
Yeah. And it's only getting worse. I'm sure you've seen across the country the pill epidemic. Last year, for the first time, our country had more heroin overdoses than people dying from gun violence. So it is something you should worry about. But the good news is for parents, there's a significant benefits from being hands-on. And we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we will talk about that. And you actually have experience with this.
I do. Our book is called My Dad is an Alcoholic, and that's me. It was actually co-written by my daughter and I. So I've been sober for 8 years. Grew up here
awesome.
in San Diego and started drinking at UCLA and didn't stop. I have alcoholism and addiction through both sides of my family tree, and then like the family tree does, it produced an alcoholic and went through treatment here locally in Del Mar. So what I write about and what my daughter writes about, we certainly are familiar with.
I wish your daughter was here because I had some questions for her from a child standpoint to see their parent go through something like this. How did it affect her?
And she talks about it in the book, and she wrote it when she was 12 and 13, and now she's 15.
Oh, wow,
so
okay.
She's in high school, that's why she's not here today, she has a test.
Okay.
When I read the book, or portions of it, it definitely affected her more than I thought. And the reality is, that's what happens in families with alcoholics or addicts. The kids follow in the footsteps. The percentages are just overwhelming of alcoholic families, how many kids follow in the footsteps. It's like, they're up to 20 times more likely than a regular family. Yeah.
Well, because, I mean, obviously they see their mom and their dad, they're people that are role models do it, even if they know that it might not be right. You tend to do what your parents do.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're, you grow up a diehard Charger fan, or, well, before they abandoned our city.
Yeah, right.
If you're a Cubs fan, if you're a diehard Cubs fan, your kid's going to be a Cubs fan. Or if every night you're railing on dinner railing about the Republicans, your child's going to become a Democrat. So if they see you drinking, whether or not you're an alcoholic, but if they see you drinking at family events, social events, you have friends over, and there's always alcohol at your house, you might want to put some thought into whether or not you're giving them a good role model.
Let's talk about some of the tips for parents that could be watching now to keep their kids substance free. What would your advice be?
Sure, and what we just talked about is one of them. They're going to follow in your footsteps. When you have friends over for brunch, do you always have champagne? Are the kids watching you? When you have, is wine part of your family? A lot of families, wine, vodka, depending on your ethnicity or your upbringing, you might want to look at that. Another one is, start early. As you mentioned, 13 is the average age of an underage drinker. And once they start drinking, that's not when you want to talk to them about this. You want to talk to them beforehand, because it might be too late. They might already have their coping skills, their social network, their friends. Talk to them early. We suggest 6th and 7th grade, and it's one of the reasons we wrote the book.
So early.
Well, a couple schools have incorporated our book into their family life, the sex ed program. So if you're going to talk to them about unwanted pregnancies at age 12, you certainly want to talk to them about something that could affect the rest of their life.
And you say it's okay to be a nosy parent.
You should be a nosy parent, and my wife is awesome at this, and I mean that, honey, in a nice way. If you're, my daughter, I don't know how old your kids are. I think they're younger than mine.
Very young, yeah.
But my daughter's 15, so she's in high school. So she goes to a lot of sleepovers, bonfires, parties. Make sure you're friends with those parents. Not just that you take the word for it. Oh, I'm going, they're great, there'll be a parent there. Make sure you're friends with them. You know them, you trust them. And if you don't know them, my wife actually calls them and has coffee with them. Another thing that my wife does, which is a good tip, is my daughter's group of 8 to 10 good friends at school. She does like mommy and daughter teas, so get to know the parents. Make sure you're comfortable with what's happening.
If your daughter was here, I would ask her, is she okay with all of this stuff? But
most of the time she is.
She's okay. Yeah.
She is. She understands. The downside. There's friends and family and people promoting this book, she sees the downside and what can happen.
Well, Mark, we appreciate you being here. You do have a book signing discussion this Sunday. It's at the Barnes & Noble in Mira, Mesa. And who are you encouraging to go to this?
You know, anybody that has a family member or a friend with some alcoholism or addiction in their genes, or a parent like you that's worried about the future, because it is a problem. So we're going to have the kids there. We're going to hand out free wristbands. I'd say any parent or concerned family member.
All right, awesome. We'll get the information. If you'd like to go to that book signing on foxeyesandiego.com, click the seat on top. Mark, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Raul, we'll get it into you.
Shall we thank you? Plenty of